and did it and was phenomenal. And then, matter of fact, a little too phenomenal. And then, but I just want to recognize that they got involved and it was well accepted. And of course, we received some money from the veterans.
Mm-hmm. Vietnam Veterans
group.
Association. And
Yeah,
veterans. And it took a long time to wrap.
and it took a long time to wrap, but it got wrapped.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Well, thanks, Dave, for
no,
spearheading that
thank
each year.
the people for not only helping, but donating, and that's
Yeah, the donations
That's
are the bigger thing.
helped a lot.
Okay. Anyone else?
We had a CTC meeting last week. I'm going to follow up just with the executive committee today, just to get prepared for the retreat that's going to be on January 23rd, from noon to 4. We're excited about what we can do in that meeting because just kind of getting a reset as we try to do every year, and then get everybody on board with the best way to not just recruit, but also recruit folks who are able to do the work, right? Like, it's the idea of CTC is amazing and everybody loves it, but then getting people actionable and to move and do things can sometimes be a struggle. So we've got some plans for how that will go, and yeah, I think I'm pretty excited about it. I'm more excited about our continued connection with the community schools, because the school district has, you know, access to most of the kids that we need to reach out to. And so having folks on the community board who are part of community schools and a part of the school district has helped us to be able to reach, you know, more kids. And so we've got some projects coming down the line, a couple of projects that are already going in some of the schools that we're going to be able to expand to North Layton Junior High, which we know we have a lot of kids at North Layton who need the resources and the assistance. And so we've got some pretty cool things coming up, so I'll have more to share, but we're excited about how things are moving.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll have it. Keep that ball rolling.
We're rolling.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Okay.
We had a board meeting for Utah League of Cities and Towns. I sent a note to some of you with some information, just getting ready for the session to start, and the leadership there met with the speaker, and he's housing, and one of the things that he mentioned, and once again it's an anecdote, but it seems to drive policy in some places, and it's cities being too slow for permits, too slow for inspections, too slow. And so I'm sure there'll be bills that we're working on to address those anecdotes. It's interesting because in those meetings, you've been in the meetings and trainings where it's these same cities, but they never name the cities.
No.
Like, we know who they are. Well, then why aren't you talking to those cities?
Yeah.
Why is it driving state policy when there's, I don't know, a handful of cities that just don't want to, I don't know exactly what the issue is with them, but as far as housing goes, we did in that same meeting, Representative Tom Peterson, he's the state building official. That's interesting. And he's the guy that people call to complain about cities not doing what they're supposed to be doing, at least in the inspection and the approval process. He's the one that gets the phone calls, and he used Layton City, Sandy City, and South Jordan as places that he never gets calls from. He's like, why can't other cities be like Layton and Sandy and South Jordan? So I thought that was good, that we were the first city that came to mind, but still it's being driven by some other cities. And so I don't know how we get a hold of that or combat that, but,
Say their name.
hey, just say it, say it, say it.
Yeah.
Will
Yeah,
all
don't
the
change
cities that
rules.
comply, please leave?
Yeah. Anyway,
No, because then they'll put the.
just applaud
Pass laws
the
to
efforts
make it worse.
of the staff and streamlining even more so than when we started, being electronic and all the things that you do and inspections, and it's tight ship, it's good. I don't want to be on that list of cities that no one knows, but anyway, thank you.
Good. I did, you sparked my memory, I did get on a call today with Congressman Moore. And I pushed for their support and doing whatever we can to help with the trains. And they assured me that they have written a letter and have been in contact with the Federal Railroad Administration, yes. But they didn't feel very confident on anything moving forward, so I politely asked if they would go back and explain the situation, that they're holding all of us hostage for just a few incidences, and why not to work with us on that. And also include the entire delegation, our federal delegation behind it, and they assured me that, oh yeah, we're all on it together. That the letter was from all of them, but I did ask one to continue to fight that battle for us. So we'll see where that goes. Nothing's going to be said here in the next couple of weeks, but they'll continue to work on our behalf to try to do what they can there. So, okay, anyone, if that's it for the reports, let's go ahead and move on then to item number 3, which is a presentation from the Davis Arts Council. So I'm not sure which one of the 3 of you are going to run this, but looks like Nancy George is up.
I am Nancy George. Thank you for having us here. I currently serve as the board chair for the Board of Trustees. I have brought Ross Marshall, who is the vice chair, and I want to introduce Kristen Wojciechowski. She has accepted appointment of interim executive director. Kristen's been with the board, or with the organization, almost a year, and we're delighted to have her take on this extra responsibility. So we're happy to be here.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, good job.
It's the end of the year, and we're all celebrating. So tonight, we wanted to highlight some of our accomplishments and what we're doing with the generosity of our founding sponsor, Layton City. So a little bit of history. Our mission: to enrich and strengthen the community through the power of the arts. Our vision: to be Utah's premier multidisciplinary arts organization, accessible to the entire community. A little bit of a timeline. It's hard to believe it's been 45 years since DAC was founded. And it's fun to go back and look at the milestones and what's been accomplished in those 45 years. A little bit about Davis Arts Council. Mentioned it was founded in 1979. We are, as a board of trustees, we're grateful for Dave Thomas, who is our city liaison. We like to say that the Ken Lee Amphitheater is the front porch of Layton City and of northern Davis County. And we really feel that we do distinguish ourselves as a cultural hub where we're sitting on our front porch enjoying affordable and diverse programs in our community. What's the impact to the community? We have year-round events. We support local talents and artists and students. We are welcoming of everyone. We have an unmatched group of 100 plus volunteers, both seen and unseen, who contribute to our success. And we are always accepting applications at davisarts.org for anyone who is interested in volunteering with our organization. So here's some numbers at a glance that we've used to measure our success and impact this year. A couple of them: 80% of our events were free to attend.
Wow.
We served 40,000 patrons this year. We employed 300 artists. We feel good about what we accomplished this year. Our reach...
Go back.
Oh, okay.
Your employee count? Just
Thank
go that
you.
one.
Yes.
8,
We have 4
8.
full-time employees and we have 4 part-time right now.
Okay, so a total of 8, but
Yes.
4 are only
Mhm.
full-time. Okay,
Correct.
gotcha.
Correct. Anything else there? Good? Okay. You can see that our reach goes far beyond the boundaries of Layton City and Davis County from this map. Patrons coming from outside of Layton City attend events at Davis Arts Council. They frequent local businesses. They eat at restaurants and they stay at Layton City hotels. We think that's a great impact to our city. Summer Nights with the Stars
I knew you'd do that.
was awesome this year. We offered a wide variety of concerts, country to rock to a cappella. We had a couple of tribute bands. We had some vocal artists as well. We welcomed Martina McBride, Lori Morgan, Colby Calais, and Bachman Turner Overdrive. We also saw the largest number of season tickets distributed this year. We had a record 9 sellout shows with an incredibly high scan rate for several of those shows. It was a great season. We're grateful for Layton City's support and for access to the Kenley Amphitheater. And as the sign on it, or on our banners over there, we enjoy being in residence at the Kenley. So we are grateful for that support from Layton City. In addition to our Summer Nights with the Stars, we offer a lot of free programming, and that is due to the generous support from ramp funding. Over 18,000 community members came to our free events this summer. 13 concerts at our free Sunday concert series. Over 6,000, that should be a 6094. Oh, 6090. 6,000 people came to the Sunday concerts. Our free Friday film series saw a 14% increase in attendance from 2023.
I like the Mario.
That was
That's
our
a big one.
highest attended show was the Mario Brothers movie. We showed 13 films and we had over 4,000 patrons who came and attended. It is also great that it's tied with Layton Fest. That's important, and we see that connection between the two.
Are you guys still tying in collectively with the museum on some of these Friday films as well?
I think we did a couple of them. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, we are. I know they stay open also for Layton Fest, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. We enjoy collaboration with them for our active pages, which I will also highlight in a minute. We have a newer small stage series. It's considered a small venue event. Capacity is between 50 and 60. The first Friday of every month from October through March. And classical ensembles, barbershop quartets, smaller events or programming such as that. We hosted 9 concerts and 574 patrons attended last year, or in the year 2024. Our active pages is our most popular free event. We offer a story walkthrough in the park in October and December. We hosted 137 sessions, so each session may have up to 35, 40 people. 4,800 patrons were served, and we give out free books also at the museum, in front of Surf and Swim for our December active pages. We highlighted the Polar Express this year, and there's a copy for each of you at the table of what we were able to give. We give thousands of books at these events. And for me, we give children, youth, adults an opportunity to hear a story they might not have ever heard of, or they might not dare to pick up a thick version of Frankenstein, or maybe they don't want to read the Polar Express or the Nutcracker, but they're exposed to it. And then we send them home with a book, and we've given them an opportunity to learn. This is one of my very favorite events that we do. Our final offering to talk about is our Snow Horse Gallery. We have exhibits up in the Davis Conference Center and at the Intermountain Layton Hospital. We rotated 10 exhibits this year. We also sponsor a student art competition and exhibit, and we had 97 students, 9th through 12th grade, submit an art piece, whether it be digital, oil, whatever the medium. Everyone who submits is displayed. In our award ceremony, we make it a big deal. We have refreshments, we honor them, we make sure they know how important this is. We gave over $1,500 in cash money this year. If you have a chance during the holidays, this exhibit is up until January over at the Conference Center in the Snow Horse Gallery. And it's wonderful to go see how many artists and students that are excelling and interested in these arts. We also purchased 2 or 3 of those that are for sale, and then we prominently display them in our office, which is also good. A good way to advertise and encourage. We value our partnership with Layton City, and we're grateful for the ramp funding we receive. Layton is a great city to be a part of. And as partners with Layton City, we help and partner back with Layton City. Our staff and volunteers help with these events listed. The concerts, our Voices of Liberty, Hometown Heroes. We collaborate and partner with Parks and Rec and with the Layton Heritage Museum. All great events.
Yeah, that's a lot of extra hours to get back, so thank you. I love the red shirts and all the help that they give throughout the year.
It's a good partnership. We appreciate it. And I think every event grows bigger and bigger, and advertising and the museum. Josie does a wonderful job coordinating and putting together her Polar Express exhibit for Active Pages this year, and Santa Claus was there, and it's a great thing. Anything you two would like to add?
Well, that's great. Welcome aboard. In your new position.
Thank you. I've been here for a minute.
That's why we're happy she's still here.
Yes, no, I'm glad.
So 2024 was a successful year in season. Some might say it was our best season ever. But we couldn't do it without generous support from RAMP. We couldn't do it without our amazing volunteers. They make it happen. As you know, from volunteers coming to the city events, they're wonderful. And as I said earlier, they are both seen and unseen, which makes them even more valuable. They serve, and people don't even know they've served. And that's what we want to see. We also couldn't do all that we do without the support and partnership of our founding sponsor, Layton City. So we are grateful. We thank you. When I helped at Active Pages a couple weeks ago, I saw that work had started around our old building. And yes, progress is essential, and progress is going to happen regardless. As you're all aware, Davis Arts was displaced a year and a half ago to make room for the new dispatch center. We found an in-kind donation to allow us to move to another office space, but the arrangement ended earlier than we expected, and at the end of September of this year, the in-kind donation was reduced by 50%, and so we are responsible for the other half, which does put a financial strain on the organization. So any assistance would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for your time. In the minutes that we have left, what questions do you have for us?
That was a good presentation. You covered all the gambit, which I like. I think everybody knows what all you do. And the numbers.
You can have Clint and his family sing Christmas song.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to participate in one of ours?
No. I mean, nobody wants to hear that.
They sat behind me as I was driving the train,
Yeah,
and they were singing, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then when they got out, I realized it was Clint, and I thought, oh.
Oh, I realized it was Dave. Like, oh. See, nobody wanted to hear it, Dave.
Yeah.
Such brotherly love.
Yeah.
Just like kids, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Ross, Kristen, do you have anything to add?
I would just add, especially on the active pages, the Polar Express. I just thought that was so cool, and it was just it was so neat to see all of what you did relative to the city. I thought it was just a great portrayal of what the city, really what the partnership can do, right? I mean, because there was a lot of people, the night I was here helping give tours through there was a lot of people in the park that night, and I just heard so many good things, about the city leadership. And so, as Nancy said, I mean, I just thank you all for your support, and it really was a pretty neat event, I think. I mean, the kids especially loved it.
And for Kristen, these are her first all new events for her.
They are, and they've been fabulous. It's been amazing to watch just the partnership with Layton City, and thank you to Dave and Kimberly that are also here with all of the ramp
And Jay.
support. And Jay, and yes, yes, many, many things. And we value your partnership, and couldn't do it without you, couldn't do it without the volunteers that are here in our communities. And I know a lot of you attend our events, and it's so nice to see all of you participating as well. So thank you.
Very good.
We look forward to 2025.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the report. That's good to have once a year.
We're also leaving that, so if you need it for anything else, you've got the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go on to item number 3, which is four. We've done number 3 tonight.
Yeah, here it again.
Okay. So on this one, it's with Ivory Homes, but I think Chad's gonna do his spiel first, so I'm gonna actually turn the time over to Chad.
It'll be a very short spiel. Did you want to say anything else? No. Just really quick, we're grateful to have representatives of Ivory Homes here tonight. One of the things we've been looking at, a lot of talk in some of our professional organizations and meetings of the league, are some other solutions to the affordability crisis that we have here in Utah. One of the things that you may have heard about in the news, Nilsson Homes up in West Weaver County, they're also a builder here in Layton, but they had a project up there with some starter homes we hope for some great success for them. And it's been an intriguing idea to us. We want to be, of course, part of the solution in Layton City. We've noted that a lot of the residents, particularly in West Layton, have told us that they would love to see an alternative for density besides maybe apartments and townhomes. There's something else we could do. And we also feel that there is a great need for some of these, what we call maybe a starter home, first home for some of these folks. So we've invited Representative of Ivory here. I see Skylar, I think, yeah, Greg's, they're hiding behind Dave. You're not hiding, I just don't see Greg, but I'm gonna invite them to come up. They've got a few slides to share with you, and then we'll answer some questions. We as staff, this was actually something that we brought up to the folks at Ivory and said to them, we would love to see if we could crack this nut. We'd love to see if we can get a way to get some affordable homes here in our community. So that's our interest in this, and we wanted to see how, get kind of a reaction from the council on some of these ideas. So no decision tonight, just presentation of materials. So thanks very much. And I just want to say we have some of the folks from the Mata family here, which we're going to be talking about their property in just a few minutes. So introduce them as well.
Thank you. My name is Skylar Tolbert. As was mentioned, I represent Ivory Homes. Thank you. Greg Timothy here is with me, also with Ivory Homes. Before I jump into this, I wanted to give a little bit of background on Ivory. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. And then I'll jump into this, but I appreciate what was said about housing in Utah. As you can imagine, we're very active at the Capitol. I probably could give you a list of all those cities if you bribe me enough with.
We have a good idea. Just
It's interesting, you know, because we work from Ogden to Santa Quinn and the Wasatch back, you know, Tooele, Grantsville, you know, St. George. So we see, you know, everybody, not everybody, but a majority of it. And we've really tried to work with everybody. We look at the cities as partners in the deals that we do. We're not a builder that's in and out. We have longevity. We've been in we've been in Utah for years, 30 plus years actually. I've been in Ivory for 15 years now. Greg's been around for about 7. And so it's a great company to work with and for, and really appreciate what they do. A big part of what we do is give back to the state. 30% of all of our profits go back to the charitable causes. The Clark and Christine Ivory Foundation is huge on housing, as you can imagine. A lot of what they give is back to housing in one form or another. There's also a 30,000 tree initiative that we started a number of years ago that we'd love to help in Layton if we can. There's a couple slides on that, but we really care about the community. We're not in other states. We're Utah, we're local. We really believe in that, in what we do. But with that said, I'll jump into it. Right on the screen is actually a project that we did in South Jordan. And this was a public-private partnership with the city. We've got deed restricted units here. It was 50 total units, and 9 of those are deed restricted at 80% AMI. The city actually gave us $100,000 per unit to basically buy down the price of these houses. So I'll get into that a little bit more. But we do our own workforce housing here in the state. I know it was mentioned the project that Nielsen Homes is doing, and others are doing great things. We've created this own program within Ivory. We call it Homes for Heroes, and it's really for our workforce housing. I'll just point out kind of who qualifies. First-time home buyers, first responders, veterans and military, police officers, teachers, construction and trade, nurses, and public employees. There's other things that we generally include with these homes, like refrigerators, closing costs, landscaping, trees, sprinkling systems, and other things to help get these first-time home buyers or those that need housing the most off to a jump start. This pamphlet's actually about a year or 2 old. We've helped close to 700 families now through this program. This is a picture on the right side is Clark Ivory. In the center is one of our home buyers, a police officer there in West Jordan City, and on the left, you might recognize Mayor Ramsey. I'm blocked in the back, unfortunately. Yeah, got some sunglasses on, but this was a great project that we did with them. This points out some of the locations that we've worked in West Haven, not far from here. We did a townhome project, Magna, Grantsville, Stansbury, West Jordan, Murray, and Heber. This talks a little bit more about our South Jordan project as well. Again, these are a little bit different than our workforce housing. These were truly deed restricted, and these folks were able to get in through this program and, you know, really jumpstart what they needed and started. 2 of the folks were city employees, a couple police officers, school district employees, and it was just a great project that we did. This is our tree initiative. We committed to planting 30,000 trees in the state of Utah. This was to celebrate 30 years as Utah's #1 home builder. Like I said, if there's a project or a park or something somewhere here in the city that we can help, we'd love to. So reach out to us, and we've partnered with Tree Utah. We come, We've done projects in parks, we've done projects on parkways, park strips. You know, we've done a project in the Salt Lake Cemetery and the avenues. I mean, up and down the Wasatch Front. So if you guys have something, we would love to work with you on that. Don't necessarily need to get into the details tonight on that, but it's something that as we grow Utah, we also think that we need to give back. Everything we do is water-wise. I won't jump into that much. This highlights the two public-private partnerships that we've done. Bingham Court on the left, that's the South Jordan project. It was a mix of single-family, small single-family, and townhomes. On the right is Park City Heights, also another deed-restricted project. That one's 150 units. About 20 or 30 of them ended up being deed-restricted, and those went to Park City residents who worked in Park City, and it was also deed-restricted. And the city and Park City participated in that. Really what we want to talk about tonight is our footprint in Layton. It's been quite some time since we've brought a project through. We did buy some lots in Evergreen from the Adams family. But this gives you an idea of what we're working with, and really, as mentioned, we want to talk about the Mata property. But if you're familiar with this area, you've got Gentile running down the center of the screen. On the top of the screen is 2700 West, and on the bottom of the screen is 3200 West, just off the Parkway. We've worked with the Hines family to secure their property. We've worked with Bob Stevenson to secure his property. There's a few others right there adjacent to Hines that we've worked with. Some call it the barking lot, I'm not sure why, but
Yeah, does the gentleman still own that?
but we've got all of these secured now and under contract. So that's on the north side of Gentile. On the south side of Gentile, we've got Jenkins, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. That went through the city a while back in 22. I think it was November 22 when the development agreement was signed. And that was rezoned from ag to the R110 with a PRUD ag heritage overlay. So we've got that. We've worked with the Jenkins family, and then the Mata property directly adjacent to it on the east. Our plan with Jenkins is just to move forward with the current entitlement that's in place and build that one phase at a time. But the Mata property that you see here, we're looking at these really as one cohesive community. They tie together. The plan for Jenkins stubs 2 roads into the Mata property. But you can see on the Mata property, it's slightly different. It still has townhomes. It's got small lot, single family. There's still about 10% open space, but if you're familiar with your code, I think the PRUD ag overlay is 20% open space, if I'm not mistaken. That's right. And as we looked at this originally, we have some contacts or concept plans that does show that. But we looked at it and we're like, this is almost a 10 acres of open space and what would feel like a regional park. As we met with the city, and as mentioned, they brought up the idea of doing something, a little bit more creative, helping out those in need that are just starting to get their feet wet with housing and not necessarily in apartments. We love apartments, we do apartments, we've done 4,000 plus apartments in the state of Utah and 2,700 single family, or 27,000 homes. But this is a bit different in how we're looking at this on this one. And really the difference is minor. And I want to walk through that. Your code does not allow for this today, but this is similar to what's happened up north, the Nielsen Homes project. And it's also not new to Utah. In the 50s, it was done all over Sugar House, all over Ogden, all over the avenues, and I've got some slides to show you of that. What this does is it adjusts setbacks a little bit. It allows for a 0 side yard setback for a future carport or a future garage. One of the ways that we can achieve more affordability is to not build a garage right up front with the home. Home buyers would have the option, but you would plan that space in the backyard or on the side for a carport in the future. Every home doesn't have to have a garage. This is what Nielsen Homes is doing. They're actually doing it in St. George right now as well. And this is what happened. It was standard back in the 50s to not get this. This is not necessarily to scale. It's just an example. We actually did a 6-lot deal in Holiday like this, but they shared a driveway. So you were able to get even smaller lots, narrower lots, I should say, that shared a driveway that went back to, a couple of garages. Not necessarily what we're planning here or proposing here. And again, we really want to get your temperature on this. This isn't necessarily our application, but we want to see how you're feeling about this and what you're thinking. Type of housing that you would see in something like this. Some of these homes are our homes and others we've pulled. But on the left, you can see Sugar House. This is what it looks like today. Most people now have built the garage in the back. You can see if you were to zoom in, they're right on lot lines or carports. On the right side is the east bench of Ogden. I left out the avenues. Nielsen Homes is starting their process. I can show you their plats, which looks just like our concept that we've shown up here for Mata. So with that, really the difference between, is there a way you can go back on this? Go back to the, one more, right there. So really the difference that we would be looking at is a little less open space and the setbacks would be adjusted. Other than that, the lot sizes are about the same size as what's been approved in Jenkins. The townhomes would be the same, and you would still keep some open space there. But the
A question.
Sure.
So the Jenkins development property, that was that was Nilsson at the beginning.
Correct.
You're saying that that's
us
no
now.
more Nilsson, that's you. You
That's
purchased
us.
that. You're okay.
Yeah.
As
So-
is, like keeping the,
Yeah, so the development agreement was signed, as mentioned, in November of '22 and approved, so we plan to just submit a phase 1 and move forward with their plan.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that confirmation.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when, things kind of fell apart with the,
We haven't talked about that since.
Since,
approval
yeah,
Forever
yeah.
ago.
yeah, so
We kind
we've,
of got tripped up on the open space too,
yeah,
on the use there.
yeah. So as we spoke with the Mata family, they were actually the first group up here that we put under contract, and then it was Jenkins, and then Hines. We probably talked to Hines. I think I've been to lunch with Alex 1,000 times, over a decade. But finally got it. So we're looking at this, larger than just a single project or 30 lots. It's 75 acres. It's potentially 300 plus homes on the west side of the city here. And we're excited. We're really excited to be here. We're really excited to work together. Again, we look at these projects as joint. It really takes a great city and the ability to work together to get through these projects. But with that said, I'd love to take some questions and talk about maybe your thoughts about what's being proposed, what's happening north of here, and the idea of what we're looking at.
I have a few questions. So the first question is, you said that if you do not put in a garage, whether it's 1, 2, we're not talking about that, but whether you don't put in the garage, but you have the space for it for the homeowner to do that later if they choose, it cuts down the cost. But that's cutting down the cost to you, the builder.
Mm-hmm.
Because, everybody who's built a home knows that it costs more to put things in later. Speaking from experience, when you don't say, well, yeah, I want 2 cars now, or I want a 1 car now, it's gonna cost me more if I decide, after I've been in the home, that I wanna add a garage. So this idea of building the homes without garages up front is really to save costs on the builder's side. Yes?
Absolutely, but that then translates to the buyer, right? So if we can, I'm just throwing numbers out, these don't quote me, but let's say a garage is $25,000.
You're recorded, so you're gonna be quoted.
That's fine.
but-
I'm recorded every week, everywhere I go. Let's say a garage is $25,000. We're gonna sell that house for $25,000 cheaper.
Okay.
So we push that onto the buyer. We're, as mentioned before, we're super active up in the Capitol and trying to get, I mean, lots of things changed. You know, permits add up, fees add up, gas adds up, you know, power adds up, all these things that go into a house. They just add that price. And of course, we are in business to make money, and we're not apologetic about that. We give a ton back to the community. As mentioned, we give 30% of our proceeds back on everything we do. But we're trying to find ways to meet this affordability crisis. I didn't get it in the slideshow, and I'm happy to pass this around and I can send it back up to you guys. I just left with Clark Ivory's office, who had met with Governor Cox just right before I was with him, and they were talking about this. But we now rank 10th in medium sales price for single-family homes, most expensive in the nation. We're at 522. You know, we're up there with Oregon, Colorado, Washington, DC, California, Hawaii. I mean, we used to call them the nuts. Now we're the nut, you know. So we're trying to do everything we can. And like I said, I'm happy to pass that around. You can take a picture of it. We'll provide that too if you'd like. Like I said, I just printed that and came, but
I have a question.
yeah.
You're giving back 30% to the community, and obviously that's statewide. So you guys select where that 30% gets distributed. Would it be possible to say, okay, we embrace that, but can we utilize that 30% here in our community on these homes and reduce the price that much more?
So it's, the simple answer is it's very complicated because Ivory Homes is for profit. The foundations are non-profit. And the two can't coexist. So we have to be very careful what we do.
But if you do two different developments, could you take the sale of the first development and apply it to the second development?
The foundation can't help. Ivory Homes can't benefit the foundation and vice versa. So as soon as we start giving direct proceeds to a house, we're in trouble. So the complicated way to say that is we can't. And it's also company-wide, right? You know, depending on what happens with these, we make different profits across the Wasatch Front. You know, some projects we might not make any, others we do pretty well. So it's a hard thing to just say, oh yeah, we can just grab that and put it here.
Well, I get that, and that's what I'm saying, that 30% number is pretty attractive, but
Yeah.
would Layton see that?
Yeah.
You mentioned South Jordan, do they have a housing authority within their city? Because we haven't talked about Layton City as helping to deed restrict.
Yeah.
To what you mentioned with South Jordan, we don't do that.
Yeah, and I'm open to that. I'm also not proposing that the city come to the table.
But my
and
question
funds
though is
here.
with
Right.
South Jordan,
Yeah.
so they have a city housing authority.
They have RDA funds, and they had about $4 million when we went to them in that. And if you don't use it, you give it back to the state. Most cities, of course, they want to use it in their city to benefit their city versus just giving it back to the state. So
That's the housing set aside, just to be clear, that's not,
So
we have a certain
we
amount
have
that has
that.
to be set aside for housing.
And for each year, where's that fund currently?
We've been paying back some of our projects. Jared Nielsen's project downtown's been getting a bit of that money. It's just about finished with their payback. We've used it for some of the purposes. You remember, helped some of the residents that were in that mobile home park for some moving costs as well, which is an allowed use. So, but there is a fund balance. I don't have that number with me right now, but there's a bit of a fund balance there as well.
Now you're not here with a specific proposal, obviously, but what, I guess maybe is the scope that you foresee about this public-private partnership? Because obviously we have to deal in not just your project, but future projects. So it seems to be there's some sort of general plan amendment that we're gonna be requesting at some point. And then
Yeah.
I guess beyond that, if there are any monetary or financial incentives like the ones I guess that South Jordan offered with the RDA, I'm just curious about the scope of that public-private partnership.
Yeah, I think that would be number one. We'd have to create an ordinance that allowed for this, because you don't have one today.
Mhm.
And then beyond that, we wouldn't have any specific asks. Now, if the city said, we want to do something, beyond what's, the $100,000 that South Jordan did, they also created a $20,000 down payment assistance program that a lot of these folks, I think 8 out of the 9 of them used. So they went above and beyond to try to get folks in. If the city did something like that, that's obviously on you. They actually did that when we weren't even in the room. They created it and it benefited their city. I don't know if there's a way that, we could give back permit fees or something to these folks, just throwing out ideas and brainstorming, but anything we could do to help the affordability, like the garage question, we're gonna essentially give that back, in a reduction in the price. Now, they can check the box today and say, I want a garage, we build it. But the whole point is to try to get these prices down as best we can to help these folks.
What size of home are you building?
So we haven't done this particular one yet without garages. We've been talking to many cities and mayors across the Wasatch Front. But our cottage product is anywhere between 1,800 and 2,800 square feet, depending on lot size and things like that. 3 to 4 beds, 3 baths type of home.
And then financially, what does it cost right now? I realize things change.
Yeah. You mean
What does the house cost?
for somebody to buy?
Yeah.
Our most affordable single family right now in the state of Utah is low 4s.
And on this property?
We've not done the math yet on it. We would hope to get it as best we can. We had townhomes in West Haven, similar to this, they started in the 3s, and by the time we were done with the project, they were a little bit more. But, we can definitely give numbers once, we kind of land on how many units and, how much open space and things like that, to then dial in, okay, this is where we can offer it. Obviously, it's that time of year, we're getting letters from all of our, our generous contractors saying, we love your business, there's a price increase next year,
Yeah.
So every year they're going up, and, by the time we get to the 300th unit, it's different, but if we were to be on the ground today, I would hope that we could deliver in the 400s, well below this, average of 522. But as we progress, if this is something that, piques your interest, I think we ought to dial in some of those numbers and see how quickly. Again, we're not proposing this on the Jenkins. Our first phase would be in Jenkins, and as we work through it, we would move to that. The process is timely improvements for a phase is 4 to 5 months, and then you start building. So we're realistically talking a couple years out on these homes.
Yeah.
Chad, what would the ordinance look like?
I think we are in a unique position to create an ordinance. I think we've got an application right now for our first HOPZ, which is that, I always forget what the acronym stands for, but it's essentially to create these types of, I think it's home ownership promotion zone, I think is what that stands for, but it's to create these types of smaller lots that are more affordable. There's some state law that allows for collection of increment to be plowed back into infrastructure. So we have an application, not with Ivory, but with another developer for that you'll be seeing in the coming months. It's the first one we've received. What that means is that we're going to be, with that one even, starting to look at different standards. And what my suggestion is, we have a PRED ordinance. Maybe this is something that is outside of that PRED ordinance even. We create this that allows for these, first homes, more affordable homes, that allows for some of these changes in code, lot size. Those are the kind of things we need to look at. Our feedback that we've received from the residents in this area, general area, is that they, like I said, they'd like to have an alternative to just always townhomes and multifamily. They'd like to see something that's a smaller lot, single-family product that's affordable for a different demographic. We seem to see some of those small lots maybe for the senior housing segment. We'd love to see something for that first-time buyer segment and start to look at that. So, you know, we're supportive of this. We, of course, we've all talked about this before. We want to be a part of the solution to affordability. We want to make sure we have a quality development as well. We were very encouraged by some of the things that we've seen come across through Nielsen. We've been glad to see the things that Ivory's already been doing and that we could do. We know this is an opportunity for us to even set some parameters about how we keep these affordable. And we talked about deed restrictions for AMI, that's the average median income. We could even, or the area median income, excuse me, we could even, have different tools to. I know when we listened to Representative Nielsen Holmes, they talked about some of the tools they had. Some were deed restrictions. They also had some programs that made these available just to a certain segment for a certain number of days at the very beginning of the sales process, so that they weren't even advertised at large. It was just, you have a pool of people. We make these available to your firefighters, your first responders, school teachers for a certain amount of time. So those are the details that we want to work through. Clint, you hit on it. We start to deed restrict things and start to track that area median income and those kind of things. There might have to be some internal infrastructure to track those kind of things. But that's, I think, why we're here, is just to get your thoughts on this. This would require changes to our code, for certain.
Thank you.
So my question has kind of been asked, but I just want to bring it home again with the affordability piece. And so whatever Ivory would remove, whatever extra items you would remove, that would be removed from the total cost, basically dollar for dollar for the home buyer. My concern is always still that affordability piece, and I know everybody in the state and the country has their own definition of what that means. But even that $400,000 number is still a reach for a lot of folks who need housing. And so I'd just be interested in knowing how lean Ivory is really thinking they could get these homes to actually reach that affordability metric for folks who are trying to buy something. Because we kind of chuckle when we hear the $400,000 first-time home buyer number, because that's not really a first-time home buyer price. So that would be my only additional concern, but I appreciate you answering the questions.
Okay, do you have some?
Yeah, do we allow new homes for ownership without a garage now?
We don't.
So that would be one
That's one of the
change,
changes in
and
the code,
setbacks
yeah.
as well. And do we allow, I'm thinking like a patio home. When you went to the next slide, I was thinking like a patio home, like senior living. My in-laws in another city live in one where there's a 0 setback on one side. Do we allow that in that situation?
We have in the past. There's been some of the PREDs in the past that have got very small setbacks. We haven't gone that small in our current PRED, but I think there's opportunity to discuss that. One of the issues we have to look at is making sure we still have provision for easements. I'm pointing at Steve, because utility and drainage easements. So we have to make sure those can still be provided for appropriately. But as Skylar said, this is not necessarily a new idea. These are things that were, I would say maybe even today it's a better situation because our building codes now can do some things to increase the fire protection along these property lines where you might have just had back in the 50s or whatever a wood structure out there against the so some of the concerns that we've had before about fire protection and things we can resolve through some of the building types and things. But yeah, I think there is some precedent of older, developments, but also just some of the things we've done with our PREDs to allow for flexibility and setbacks in the past. The current ordinance doesn't allow that, but I think we could look at that.
And just to clarify, what we would propose would just be the garage or a carport to have that 0 setback. On this example, you've got 5 on one side, so if you were to match those two, you're going to have at least a minimum of 10 On the other side, you've got to have at least a driveway to get back there, so you can have 10 or 12 feet on the other side. It would just be the garage that would be carved out for the 0 setback.
Yeah.
And that's one great way to accommodate that, is to make sure that if you have 0, the other guy has that increased setback to accommodate that utilities.
I guess if you're here for opinions, I'm probably not too open to no garages, just because I think ownership with the garage, I think it makes for a better neighborhood, longevity of the neighborhood, my opinion. Can't speak for others, but also I do want to say I'm familiar with the nursery industry, and the homes abutting to the perennial favorites was a hang up for me on the Jensen property, so I appreciate the open space on the north end, at least on the back one.
It would,
Back
be your
Back
south
one
one.
picture. So I appreciate that open space there, because I just think backyards next to that nursery is not gonna be a oasis that a lot of people hope for in a backyard. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that one.
When we were
Oh,
looking,
I guess, what's that?
when we were looking at that, we knew that there's cars that came down through that, and even it mentions that in the development agreement for Jenkins, so we went through that as well, so.
I guess-
It did go through our thought process.
Okay, thanks. I guess one other question, and I should have asked Mata's beforehand, but Ag Heritage Overlay, the agriculture component of it is part of the development, is that right?
Now, yes, correct.
Yeah, so you're presenting this, would that be, and I know this isn't your application, but would the agriculture on the northeast side be part of the development? Or-
So that and pitch in at any point, right? So they are retaining that 10 acres for the family, and they will run and operate a farm. What we've talked about is a co-op that all of our residents, now that we've got Jenkins too, could subscribe to and get fresh fruits and vegetables and whatever they're doing. But that is not part of the development. We've created some open space there on the north end, which we plan to do some amenities right there that we've talked to them about that kind of allows people to enjoy it without going in. It creates some liabilities for the family farm and potential, animals and things like that that shouldn't be in there. So we've created kind of an open space corridor adjacent to it so that they can feel it but not necessarily participate. And maybe at some point they come on to participate. Please say anything else about the 10 acres that you're retaining if I've said anything wrong or.
So I don't know if this has ever been presented to you. So I'm one of 6 inheritors of the 90 acres of Mata farm. And we as a family decided that we would set aside 10 acres that we would not sell for commercial or housing interests because we grew up when, we moved here in 1968 when there was one stoplight in Layton in the corner of Gentile and Main. And we've seen how it's changed, and it breaks our heart. We know people need housing, but once land is developed, it's not coming back to farming, and we can make all the money we want, but you still have to eat. And you all know that most of our food comes from 1,500 miles away. It's energy intensive to do it that way, so the gray box on the top left is just shy of 10 acres. We had existing infrastructure of coolers and greenhouses and warehouses, and the family is committed. We have a long-term lease with 2 organic permaculture farmers, which means they don't deep till. Everything's organic. We have
The drip irrigation you put in?
yeah, we got federal and state water optimization money and put in drip irrigation, so the farm uses 50% less water than it used to. So, and we have committed professional urban farmers from Salt Lake, 2 gentlemen last year. They'll be back, and we have 2 women farmers that are joining them next year. So I invite you all to come out in the spring when things are green, and it's really, we think it's really impressive. And the open space, when agriculture is next to a neighborhood, it's called an agrihood, and there are hundreds of them in the United States. And your food can be picked that morning, and you can join the CSA, which is Community Supported Agriculture, like a Bountiful Basket, and the farmers will deliver your produce same day. And it's healthy, it's organic. So anyway, our dream was to have this integrated, but the family will retain ownership, management, but we have some good working relationship and generous agreements with Ivory. They see our vision, and they know that this is an amenity that people want. It used to be golf courses that made a premium neighborhood, and now it's a farm, these agri-hoods, so. Well, thank you. That's a great, quick synopsis of what you guys plan on doing, so thanks. We'll probably dive in deeper later.
Do you mind?
One more.
Sure.
We got a few more items here.
Thank you for that. I mean, I live on a house that used to be a farm. He knows all about it. And when we're doing a lot of development and the city changes and transitions, and his family's been here a long, long time farming. And I go out and see my kids being able to be raised in a place where they have good schools, and there's still a farm in my backyard because it's still being farmed. And so I just, yeah, temporarily. But I just want to say thank you, because we have a lot of, and I'm not judging any of the other property owners who come in and don't try to retain any of that kind of old historical farmlands, and just appreciate that idea. To piggyback on Councilman Roberts' opinion, I always want to give mine. I think that my opinion is that if we are utilizing the general plan to facilitate more affordable single-family housing that can be purchased by actual people, not LLCs or investment companies, I'm all in on that. I think the idea of us utilizing, dollars from other and paying down or maybe giving, down payment assistance, I'm not sure I'm on with that, because I don't know if that's really our role as a municipal government. But I think I can just speak for myself that we want to make sure that people who have families have a place to live, and if there's ways that we can help our code facilitate that, I'm on board with that. So thank you. Thanks, Joe, for one more second.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this. I will just wrap up, and I won't repeat anything because I support these guys. My biggest takeaway is I love the fact there is no rear entries. You've stayed away from any type of rear entry, causing alleyways, or I know a lot of the other areas that have had the narrower homes have a tendency to do that, to come with that idea, so thank you for doing it.
We've done plenty of rear entries, and we've got a lot of feedback too, so most folks like this, so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. We'll keep chatting, and appreciate you facilitating us tonight, and have a great holiday season. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, that was a good discussion.
You can keep that. I think you want to copy it from the store.
Okay, we have one more, we have another item here that's going to require some good discussion as well.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Steve Jackson. This is regarding water fluoridation. So Steve, do you want to get everybody up to speed on what's happening there?
Yeah, real quick, I think everybody knows Davis County or Salt Lake County are the only two counties in the state that currently fluoridate their water. Back in votes in the late 1990s, early 2000s. This 11th Circuit Court issued a ruling recently that has been going for a long time. Basically, I'm not going to go into all the details, but the optimum fluoridation level that they've come out with is 0.7 milligrams per liter. They're saying that you could go up to 1.2 and it was optimal, but they've landed on the 0.7 here. The judge has ruled and found, based on all this evidence, that there's a 1 point drop in IQ of a child that's to be expected for each 0.28 milligrams per liter of fluoride in a pregnant mother's urine. Basically, long story short, there's substantial and scientifically credible evidence that fluoride poses a risk to human health. It's associated with reduction in IQ in children, and that those dosages are far too close to the drinking water level, and so it's unreasonable under this amended TSCA. So the court found in September of this year that the plaintiffs who have sued over this issue, that there's a preponderance of evidence that community water fluoridation level is an unreasonable risk to the injury to human or to health under this guideline, and the EPA is obligated to take some kind of regulatory action on this. What does that mean for us? We have a state law that says that if there was a community vote, that then the communities could vote this in. As the community staff, we're not taking a position on whether fluoride is good or bad for your health. We believe that the fluoride should be overseen and administered by medical professionals. As a water system, we feel like we're not in a position or should not be in a position to medicate the water. We want to be able to simply provide safe, quality, clean drinking water to our residents, and there's a lot of issues with fluoride from the training that our staff has to go through. It's a caustic chemical, so if there's a spill, it's a hazmat incident. A lot of other things. We've asked the county health department to review this. They have put together a kind of a panel. They want to have a discussion on the 7th of January. They've invited water professionals to come and speak to them about this issue. Weaver Basin Water Conservancy District has sent a couple letters. I believe Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District is also involved. They're looking at possible legislative remedies to say, hey, water purveyors should be water purveyors, not medical providers and things like that.
So the vote that happened was county.
It was a county vote.
So it's not Layton City, it was a county.
Well, it was a county vote. My understanding is Woods Cross somehow, their people were so low in that vote that somehow they petitioned to not be part of it, so they're like the only city that's not doing it. But
What is the county saying about this?
the county is saying we want to look at it more and we want to explore it more. There was a lot of discussion about, well, we're stuck because the state law says we have to. I believe when it initially, I don't mean to bring up old things, but initially the city of Layton was so against this that there was actually a letter stating that Alex and Terry Coburn would get put in jail if we didn't implement fluoride because it was such a hot topic back then. It's, in our opinion, it's time to relook at this. This ruling here, I believe, exposes every water provider that puts fluoride in their system to some major liabilities if this is proven. Akin to the level of the Flint, Michigan lead crisis that happened a few years back. And I'm not an attorney, obviously Flint would have to rule on that, or opine on that, but it's time to look at this and really say, is it the role of water systems to provide medication in their water? Again, we're not taking a stance on fluoride. We believe that the medical professionals should, have that conversation with their patients, and the cities as water systems, we should just be focused on providing safe drinking water that is clean. Our idea would be that the legislature should pass a law that says don't put anything in the water unless it's to make it potable, which would basically be a disinfectant like chlorine to make sure it's clean and safe.
What's the argument on the other side?
The argument on the other side is that fluoride is good for your teeth and oral health, and that there are a lot of people who don't get enough treatment at their doctors, that underserved communities may not see the dentist enough, and so there's the concern that they're not getting the fluoride through that means, so that we should put it into the water and medicate everybody. My personal opinion, we're spending 60% of our water goes outdoors on the grass, so our grass shouldn't have any cavities, but again, it's kind of flippant, but there's better ways to provide fluoride to people, and the cost to do it and the safety that is involved with this particular method is pretty.
How much does it cost us?
I think we're spending about $50,000 a year just on the fluoride, but then there's staff time and other things we have to do with the
What's a
training.
percentage of the cost of the water? You could figure that out.
We'll figure that out as we go, but our initial thought is we need to get some experts. There's a Dr. Molyneux, who's a toxicology expert that's been working with the county health department as well as talking with Weaver Basin. I have a resume if you want it. It's 11 pages long, so I didn't bring it tonight, but we think there's a chance here to discuss this and make sure that what we're doing is not causing an unreasonable.
Salt Lake is, so it's just Salt Lake.
Salt Lake and Davis are the only two in the state.
Why is the state then deciding that they were going, that like we should have a state law when you just have a couple of counties?
Well, the state law allowed the counties to vote, and so then they pushed, whoever the group was back in the day, pushed to have the votes happen. There was a lot of back and forth. It was a very hotly debated topic at the time, and I believe it narrowly passed, and so then it became law.
And we just wanted to make you aware of the
Yeah.
discussion that's been percolating kind of under the surface a little bit for some time in the cities and the water districts, but it's probably with this, the action that the Board of Health's taking to have some public meetings about it, discuss it, we wanted you to be aware of it, that this is the context and the background.
So the EPA, you threw out the EPA.
The court said the EPA needs to do something about it. We're not gonna tell them what to do, and we're not gonna give them a
Does the EPA
timeline.
supersede, or
The EPA would,
states?
would be the
In
Safe,
this
yes,
instance?
the Safe Drinking Water Act. The EPA could do anything from saying, hey, this is what we think is a safe level, because there is natural fluoride in our water. We just augmented up to this 0.7. The EPA could come out and say, this level is 0.1, and so you need to remove it until it's at 0.1 or less, or they could, whatever they do, but they could be quite a while. We're hearing rumblings too that President-elect Trump and his new Health and Human Secretary nominee is really against this, and there may be some kind of a federal order that says get this out of here, but we can't rely on any of that. We're talking to the health department saying, hey, let's have the discussion with experts. And so we just want to give you that update, but I don't want to take any more time on it unless there's pressing questions.
Interesting.
Go for it.
Okay,
Go for getting rid of it.
let's try to,
Okay.
I
spend
didn't
15
want it to
minutes?
start with.
Yeah,
All right,
we can report back as well
Yeah,
after.
we'll let you know.
yeah. But the health department formed a committee together, and the one doctor is a dentist as well that's on that committee. Okay, let's go ahead and move on then to item number 6, a closed door session. So hopefully we can get through this so we don't have to come back. But I need a motion to close our regular work meeting and go into a closed door session.
I move we close our meeting and move into the
Closed door session. All in favor? Second. Which is December 19th. I appreciate your patience here for a little 5-minute delay, but we had some business we needed to cover, and I appreciate your patience there. As customary, we do like to open up all of our meetings, our council meetings, that is, with a prayer and a pledge, and we take turns each month. So I'm going to turn it over to our birthday council member, Tyson Roberts, who has a birthday next week.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll open the meeting with a prayer and then invite everyone to stand for the pledge. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful for this opportunity to gather this evening to conduct the business of this great city of Layton. Grateful, Father, for all those who work hard to make Layton a great community, for the employees of the city, the first responders, the residents who live here and work hard to make it a great place. Father, we're grateful for this Christmas season that we have to gather with our friends, family, and loved ones, and we ask that we will all enjoy a great season as we have so far, and enjoy time with others. We're grateful for those that continue to work as we enjoy that time with our loved ones. We ask thee that thou will bless those who sacrifice their time away from family to continue to provide services to all of us. Father, we ask for these things and for thy guidance this evening. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
If you'd all please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilman Roberts, for that nice prayer. Okay, Council, we have 3 sets of minutes that we need to approve tonight. If you don't have any changes, then I'd look for a motion on those.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of Layton City Council work meeting on October 17th, 2024, minutes of the Layton City Council work meeting on November 21st, 2024, and the minutes of Layton City Council meeting on November 21st, 2024.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we adopt the minutes as written and as stated. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move on to our municipal announcements. So I'll turn the time over to the council members if they have any announcements to share.
Mayor, just one, it's a great time of year, December. We're excited about the holidays, and as usual, we've got a great light display out here that the Parks Department has worked on for a long time. Probably already started on next year's display and the improvements. So we appreciate that. But the lights before Christmas will be open for foot traffic, buy hot chocolate, or just the drive-through, get the family in the car. 5 p.m. until 11 p.m. through December 31st. So thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'll then move on to item number 3 tonight. And this is one of those fun parts of our being the elected official that we get to acknowledge some great folks in our city. However, before I actually say anything, I'm going to turn the time over to Mr. Dave Price, who is going to present our Volunteer of the Year Award.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This evening I have the great pleasure to introduce Donita McGonigal Gathram, and I hope I said that all correctly. If Donita, if you'd be kind enough to come up and join me here. That way you can correct me if I say the wrong thing. Kimberly, Josie. While they're coming up, I would like to thank all of her family, friends, and especially the board members that have come out to support her this evening. Thank you. Thank you for being here this evening and for helping us with the Heritage Museum. Right up here. This year's Parks and Recreation Department's Volunteer of the Year is a remarkable woman whose life is a testament to dedication, community spirit, and the preservation of history. Donita embodies the values of service, passion, and family. Her contributions to the Heritage Museum of Layton and her lifelong commitment to the community, this community's history, makes her an inspiration. Donita is a proud Layton native and the only child of Rita Steele McGonigal and Dawn McGonigal, shares a deep connection to our city's rich history. A proud graduate of Davis High School, she went on to attend the University of Utah, where she studied English and history. She spent 6 years teaching in the Granite District of Salt Lake City before dedicating herself to raising her 2 children, Ray Dawn Anderson and Darren Gathram, alongside her late husband, Ralph, whom she married in 1968. Together, they have built a family that now includes 6 beloved grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. Her family heritage is intertwined with Layton's origins. She is a descendant of the 2 of the first families to settle here, the Stills and the Nalder family. Her mother was an educator who taught at Layton Elementary for 40 years, instilling a love of learning and history in Donita from a young age. Today, Donita continues to honor her heritage by living in her grandparents' home on the original farmstead. Her stewardship for the land and her family's legacy reflects her commitment to preserving not just the history, but the stories and traditions that make it meaningful. Donita's passion for history is evident in every aspect of her life. She has been the cornerstone of the Heritage Museum of Layton since its inception in 1973. As the chair of the Heritage Museum of Layton's Corporation's Board of Directors, she worked tirelessly to preserve and to share the stories of our community. From giving captivating lectures on Layton's history to playing an active role in Riata Days, she has brought history to life for countless residents. Her dedication extends beyond the museum. Donita has written for the Davis County Clipper, documented Layton City Council meetings, and other important city news. Her articles have become part of our community's historic record. She also collaborated with the Kaysville and Layton Historical Society, contributing to and editing chapters of their book on Layton history. Donita is known for her unwavering dedication and extraordinary talents. A gifted musician, she has served as the ward organist for over 60 years, playing at more than 100 funerals. Her faith and service extends to her role as a young women's president, where she mentored many young women in the community. Her love for genealogy has also made a lasting impression, as she has helped others uncover their family histories while preserving her own family legacy through journals and photographs. Donita's work has enriched our understanding of Layton's history and heritage, and inspired others to value and preserve their own histories. Through her efforts, the Heritage Museum of Layton has grown into a vital institution that continues to educate and engage visitors of all ages. Her dedication to family, community, and history is a shining example of how one person can make a profound difference. On behalf of Layton City, we would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Donita. Her life story and service reminds us of the importance of honoring our past while building a future. Her legacy will continue to inspire generations. She is a true role model, and we are privileged to recognize her as the Parks and Recreation Department's Volunteer of the Year. Thank you, Donita.
Well, thank you.
We had a lot of
I really do, but I really don't deserve anything special.
Oh, you do.
Oh, no.
I don't know if it's special, but we did want to give you a couple little gifts.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. That is quite a gift. Oh, thank you.
Maybe you could carry that.
I'll carry this for you. So, thank you.
And before you leave,
Okay.
we'll give you a minute to say whatever you'd like, but also the mayor has a
I have nothing
proclamation.
to say, really. Except I don't deserve this, really. I've done very little compared to so many other people in this community and so many other people that's worked with the museum over the long haul of the museum. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate what I've done is minor compared to what some of these other people have done.
That's very modest. Mayor?
Yeah, Donita, I know better firsthand, personally. I have to tell you, I was excited when I read your name as the Volunteer of the Year, and I know you're probably getting tired, but please hold out just for a minute longer, because I do have a proclamation I want to read as well. But before I get to that, your family has been extremely instrumental for me, and I don't think I ever told you this, but your mother was my teacher at Layton Elementary.
Plus how many others?
Plus how many others? You're absolutely right. I see some hands out up there. But the reason why I make that statement is because it's your family, your mother, and you personally as well. I had the honor to be on the museum board and chair it, and I took a lot of guidance from you on how to run the museum, run the chair, and more importantly, just how to understand the importance of our history. And to this day, I know you still do that. And your care in the details matters. Even with the artifacts, I know when we had, some leakage in our ceiling, you went beyond the call of duty of a board member and made sure that those artifacts were properly cared for and preserved so that future generations can continue to appreciate those. So, Donita, I have to say thank you. Thank you for helping me become the person that I am today. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Probably for my mother disciplining you in first grade.
Well, I will tell you, she had a good trick. Whenever, if you talked too much or if you weren't paying attention, she'd make you stand with your hands above your head. And unfortunately, I did that many times. And if you got your arms down to this level, guess what? She'd call you out, and you had to start all over. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's why I had to bring that up. But anyway, thank you so much on behalf of the entire city. I mean, we do appreciate your service here. And before we get done here, I do want to read this proclamation, and then I would ask that the council join me, and we will go down and shake our hands. And I think it would be very appropriate if we can have a picture with you as well afterwards. So
I don't do pictures, really.
I know. That's why I'm telling you now, so you can get ready. Okay. Whereas the Parks and Recreation Department Volunteer of the Year Award is presented annually by the Layton City Parks and Recreation Department. And whereas the Volunteer of the Year Award is presented to a deserving individual or organization who has demonstrated an exceptional level of volunteer service to Layton City. And whereas this year's recipient, Mrs. Donita McGonigal Grantham, has served as a Museum of Layton volunteer for over 40 years. Well deserved. And whereas Ms. Grantham has demonstrated exceptional levels of volunteerism to the Layton Heritage Museum Corporation's Board of Directors in the capacity of chair, serving the community. And whereas Ms. Grantham has demonstrated exceptional levels of commitment to preserving and showcasing the history of Layton through her service at the Heritage Museum. And whereas Ms. Grantham has demonstrated exceptional levels of volunteerism to Layton City. Now, therefore, Layton City proclaims its recognition of Donita McGonigal Gathram. Sorry, I keep messing that up. I do that, and Ms. Smith can attest to that. As the Layton City Parks and Recreation Department's 2024 recipient of the Volunteer of the Year Award for outstanding service to our community. So thank you very much.
Well, while you're coming down, let me introduce you to the part of my family that's here. This is my daughter, Radon Anderson, and maybe you recognize her, those of you that have students at Northridge.
Those are those of you that were my student. You look like the children at Northridge.
Huh?
Yep.
And then her daughter and her son.
Cool.
Is a recipient of my dog. And my cat. And her cat. He's, what are you, Darren? He'll graduate from Utah State this year. But he's not going to be a teacher. We have teachers in our family. My grandfather was a teacher. My mother was a teacher. My uncle was a teacher and principal, and who else? Well, cousins too. So I guess the deal is when you can't do, you teach. I don't know.
No, you're doing great. Can we come over here, and I'd like to have you stand there, and then the council would like to shake your hands. We'll take a quick picture. Let's just stand right here. You're going to be front and center. So I'm going to tell you thank you. I know. I know. So,
This is my daughter's student.
I was another student. I didn't go to school much. Dayton.
Okay. Here you go. Here's your proclamation. Oh my goodness. You know, it's amazing. She's still McGonigal, and she's still right. Sorry, I don't either, right?
well, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
And I should acknowledge all the neighbors were here too. So thank you guys for being here to support Donita. No, you don't have to, but you can. Miss Historian. No, you're not. No, you're not.
The rest is boring.
What?
I said the rest is boring.
Oh, yeah.
Not you two. You two gotta stay.
Yeah. Okay, once again, I want to thank everyone who is here, and thanks for the acknowledgement. We'll now move on to our citizens' comment portion of our meeting. So if there's anyone who wishes to address this governing body on an item that is not on our agenda, then you're welcome to do so at this time. If you could, just state your name and what city you're from for the record.
I'm Lachlan Smith. I'm from Layton, 997 East Gentile Street. I just wanted to recommend a book to the City Council to read. It's called Strong Towns by Charles Marone. I just finished reading it about a month ago and thought it'd be good for the City Council to read and see what they think about it. So that's all.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Okay. We'll now go on then to our consent items. Council, we have 2 items tonight, and as usual, we can listen to both items and then make one single action at the end. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Mr. Steve Jackson for item A, which is a bid award.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. It's good to be with you again tonight. Before you for consideration is a bid award to 3XL Construction for the Holmes to Andes Adams Secondary Water Trunk Line Project 2304, Resolution 2436. The project is one we've talked about in the past with some of the funding that we've received with Weaver Basin. The bid award was held and we received 4 bids for the project. The project is 2,100 linear feet of secondary water line, 24 inches in diameter, from Gentile Street all the way to Andy Adams Reservoir through the alignment shown on the screen. 4 bids received. 3XL was the lowest responsive bidder in the amount of $976,411.10. The engineer's estimate was $1,143,400. Staff recommends that Council approve Resolution 2436 and award the bid to 3XL Construction and allow the city manager to execute the agreement for the project. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
Council? No?
Not a question, just a comment and to kind of go off what Councilmember Smith Edmondson said last meeting about being willing to change the direction. Sometimes I guess, you know, people can think that government is just this immovable object, especially if you're maybe in the railroad, federal, you know. But hopefully at the municipal level, you know, we serve the people, and they're the ones that are living next to these improvements that we're making. So I just appreciative of that, because we want to be able to show the residents that we're willing to listen to what they have to say if they have ideas that work with us. So appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go on. Oops, excuse me. We'll go ahead and go on to item number 2, and Chief Swanson will presenting this item to us, and it's an approval on an interlocal cooperation agreement.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Appreciate you having me tonight. I'm presenting Resolution 2434, and that's an interlocal cooperation agreement between Bountiful City, Layton City, and also Davis County for the use of an armored vehicle. If I could give you just a little background on it, way back in 2010, this county received some federal grant funds, and the administration back then decided, as a county, it would be all of the law enforcement administrators as well as the sheriff, to use that money to buy this armored vehicle known as the Bearcat. And so that was done, and it's been in use since 2010, and we use it quite a bit. But over the last year, there were some questions coming up regarding insuring that. And so I requested to see the MOU and discovered that there never was an MOU. And I guess back in 2010, they operated under a handshake agreement. And so I requested that this MOU be drafted so that we could properly insure it and make sure it's covered. And so basically what this does, the primary reason for this MOU is for insurance matters. So if Layton is operating that with our SWAT team and we damage it, then the county's going to insure it, but we will be responsible for the deductible. And that would go the same for Bountiful. There's 2 agencies that use that right now, and that's Bountiful SWAT team and Layton SWAT team. And we train in it twice a month, and our SWAT team gets called out probably once to 2 times a month, sometimes more depending. And if it's an armed situation, then we have that Bearcat there. So we utilize it quite a bit, a lot more than the other entities. So that's the reason for this interlocal agreement. And I just hope that you guys adopt it, because I think it's important to make sure it's insured so we're not on the hook. So, but with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Council?
Thanks, Mayor. I was going to say something about license and insurance, but that's what you all say. It's not insured.
It is insured.
I understand.
It has been insured. It's just there's nothing in the MOU, because there wasn't an MOU. They talked about who covers what.
So
good catch.
My question is just more logistics. Davis County, when it's used in Davis County, who does just depend on the location of whether we operate it or whether Bountiful operates it?
So there's currently right now there's only 2 SWAT teams in the county, and that's the North Davis Metro, which is Layton and the cities on the north end, and then Bountiful, who covers the south end with the exception of North Salt Lake. North Salt Lake we actually cover because they would prefer that we cover them.
So where does it sit?
So it's housed at the sheriff's office.
The sheriff's office.
Yes.
So then if you're called in,
We've got guys that, we've got trained drivers that drive it. We respond and we pick it up. And like I said, we train in it twice a month.
Does anybody in the sheriff's office, are they train in it as well, or it just hope not?
They
stay out of it?
They agreed back in 2010 to write the grant. And so that made them the owners. So they're really the only ones that can insure it.
Yeah, county.
If they offered to ever sell it to us, I would come before you with that agreement. But they are the owners, but it is a regional asset, so it was designed for use in the county.
But they don't operate it either.
They have drivers.
They do
that operate
have.
it, but so the sheriff's office actually has 2 guys that are on the Bountiful SWAT team.
Thanks.
You bet.
It's pretty
Any other
good.
questions?
It's a pretty cool rig. I've been in it. Yeah, it's well done.
Useful tool. For
Yes,
sure.
it is. Councilman Robert, birthday boy.
Happy
All right,
birthday.
Thanks. Ironically, I was sitting next to a friend when I was reading through my packet that lives in Bountiful City, and he asked, well, what's going on at this council meeting? And I told him, well, they're talking about this agreement actually between Bountiful City and Davis County. And so he looked up a picture of a Bearcat, and it's a pretty intimidating looking vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it belongs in a war zone. But I explained, it's been here for 13, 14 years already. But it's just thinking it's unfortunate that we live in a society where this is needed, but good to have for sure. You said it's used, I guess you said it's used for trainings, but how often is this used in action to respond to a call?
I should have brought you some numbers a lot. So if it's an armed individual, we go grab it and have it on standby.
Okay.
So we utilize it not only in the calls, but we also train in it twice a month. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, and good catch on your behalf as far as an MOU, and we all agree with that. I'm sure.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Council, I'll bring the consent items back to you for action. So I'd look for someone to make a motion regarding both items, and if you could please state the resolution or the I guess the project number as well.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent items. Item A, a bid award to 3XL Construction, Resolution 24-36. And item B, Resolution 24-34.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move on to our public hearing portion of our meeting. And with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Mr. Chad Wilkinson to talk about a rezone request. And then once he's finished, I'll bring it back for any questions and the opportunity to open up the public hearing.
Thank you. Mayor, Council, as the mayor stated, this is a rezone request. The property is here located on your map on the red dot. That's about 915 West Gordon Avenue. I want to be just explain a little bit about why this is addressed Gordon Avenue. This property is going to be added to the Desert Industries property, which is on Hillfield, However, this is the back portion of the current family history library property. So that's the property we're talking about. That's why it's addressed from Gordon Avenue. This is the property shown here in the crosshatching in the red. You can see that the requested change is from R18 to CH, and that CH zone would accommodate the inclusion of this parcel with the Desert Industries parcel. What the Desert Industries would like to do is bring this property into their property, and to avoid a split zone property, they're requesting this zone change. This would be, again, used as parking for the Desert Industries building. There wouldn't be any cross access between these two properties. There actually is an improvement that's been built there for stormwater that would prevent that from happening. So this is going through a separate property line adjustment application. That's an administrative review, and that's pending the approval of this zone change that would, again, avoid a split zone property. So with that, this has been reviewed by the Planning Commission. They forwarded a recommendation of approval, and we also share that recommendation and would recommend that the council approve this ordinance changing the zoning from R18 to CH. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Council, you have any questions on this?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Chad, I was wondering about the R18 designation, where that's the family, or the, what's it called, Family Search Center.
Mm-hmm.
Future R18, or was it?
It's been R18 for a long time. It was the Weaver State University campus before, which is an allowed school use on the property. This is also an allowed religious use on the property, so it's an allowed use there in the R18 zone.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
There was a gentleman that voiced some concerns at the Planning Commission and also at our last meeting during the citizen comment period, I believe. And he's had communications with all of us as well. Can you talk about, is there a difference between, in our general plan, the mixed use overlay versus the actual mixed use zone itself?
There is. This is actually not in that mixed use overlay, and I think that was some incorrect information you had. The mixed use overlay kind of runs parallel to Main Street. It's a corridor. The property that we're talking about is not within that mixed use overlay. In terms of that overlay allows a variety of zones, not just the mixed use zoning. It's an idea that should someone come in with a project that was mixed use, they could potentially apply for a zone change in that corridor area. They could come back and build some housing there. We've talked about this in other applications, that the vision for that area is not necessarily all residential or all commercial. It's a mix of uses that can be accomplished in a variety of zoning designations. If it was in that mixed use corridor, this would still be consistent with that mixed use corridor overlay general plan designation, but it isn't in that overlay.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring that up because I know he's been passionate about this. But another thought that I had with this, we generally don't change a use unless change a zone unless the use is changing or a development is in place. But this is already being used for this, is that right?
That's right. It's a parking lot, and they just want to formalize this as part of the Desert Industries building instead of part of that family history property. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chad. So that kind of poses another question for me. Again, the use isn't changing, and so designating it, making a zone change for this particular piece. I mean, I understand in the request it sounds like they just want all of it to be uniform zone-wise, but it's not necessarily going to be a different purpose. Is there...
So there's been some changes. There's been some improvements on the lot that have changed the drainage pattern, and they want to bring the property. So the property you see in red is not part of the Desert Industries property today.
Right.
So that property line adjustment will create that larger parcel with that parking lot in there. We prefer not to have split zone properties. So this is something that is actually a really good thing from our perspective. If they wanted to do a property line adjustment, which there's nothing that says they can't do a property line adjustment, we would prefer them to create one zoning designation on the one property. That's good zoning practice, and what it does is avoid land use conflicts on one individual property. You might have a conflict between standards on that one property. We want to try to avoid that. So it doesn't always have to be a change of use. In this case, it is a change of use, though. They are taking this property that has historically been used for parking for that property to the north, and now they're bringing it to use it as parking for that property to the south.
That's considered changing the use. I'm sorry.
Well, so
Just,
yeah,
I mean,
is,
it's
though,
parking.
you've got,
It's for a different property, but it's still parking.
but
Which to me sounds
parking's not the use. Parking
Okay.
is the supporting infrastructure for the use, right? So the use is not parking. The use is Desert Industries or Family Search Center. So that's the use, not parking.
Okay, gotcha. Because to the regular
Parking's
eye, it
parking's
sounds like
infrastructure
parking
in
is
this
the
case.
use,
Yep.
but that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions?
Just to confirm, so they want to, we're gonna do the lot adjustment, the property line adjustment, and because they wanted that, now you've got a split zone, and we don't want that.
That's right.
That's okay.
That's right. Yep.
We mean,
Yes.
Correct.
The city. Yes.
Okay, council, if there's no other questions, then I would bring this back to you to open our public hearing at this time, so we can hear from the audience.
I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's any, in a second, yes. If there's anyone who wishes to speak on this one particular item, you're welcome to come up to the podium and once again state your name and what city you're from. Okay, seeing that there's no one wishing to make a comment on this particular item, I'll now bring it back to the council to close our public hearing and take action on our rezone request.
I move that we close the public hearing and have Chad go back to the microphone and also approve ordinance 2433. Did I miss it?
Nope, you got it.
I'm fine.
Okay, so there's a motion to close public hearing and approve ordinance 24-33. So being that this is a public hearing item, I will go ahead and do a roll call vote on this. I'll start down here with Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Bloxham,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilman Smith Edmondson. Aye. And Councilmember Thomas.
Aye.
Okay, there you have it. It's unanimous.
Now that you're standing there, we'd like to thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
We know that this is your last
That's all right.
meeting that you'll have with us unless we decide to sue South Ogden or wherever you're going,
Murray.
whatever. So, but we do appreciate the time that you put in, and especially the clarifications that we get from you, which has been phenomenal. I'm not really great on acronyms, R's, CH's, U's, M's, C, so it's been important to me for what you've done, and I'm sure there's a lot more you've done that I don't have a clue about that are good, and that. So we wish you well.
Thank you, Dave.
And hope that everything goes the way you want it to.
Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate that. Thank you all.
Well, I don't think you should step away quite yet. I'm sure all of us would want to give our sincere thanks and appreciation for what you've done, Chad. You've been through quite a lot. You came in at a point in time when you really had to jump in with both feet. And I want you to know it didn't go unrecognized. And we appreciate what you've done for our city. And we hate to see you go.
Thank you.
But with that, I'll allow the other council members to speak.
I'm going to ditto to Dave because he said it all.
Same. I'll say amen to the two that have already spoke. But additionally, I came on the planning commission shortly after you came to the city, and I learned a ton about land use and stuff that I didn't. It's another world that you don't know exists when you're just not as involved in government and municipalities. So thank you for all you've taught me personally. I appreciate it, and it's helped me a lot in this job. So thanks, and good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would say that coming on the council, I mean, you're the one that probably gets the most fire from the council in terms of questions. I mean, no offense to the chief, but when the chief gets up here, we're like, you're amazing, chief. What do you want? What do you need? We'll do anything you want. And you get up there, oh, we think the staff should do this. Well, why, Chad? Tell us why. No, I don't agree with that, Chad. And you're like, okay. So I just appreciate that, because being responsive to us, land use is a big deal. I think it's all language. We all had to come and try to find a way to learn it in our own way and what we think is the best. And I think with having so many pressures from the state on how they want us to do things, and we always hear from other elected officials when we're in any sort of professional organization how good Layton is. We hear that all the time. So you're leaving this obviously better than where it was when you started, and that says it all. So thanks so much for all you've done for the city.
Thank you. Well, let me add as well, to everyone's point, I appreciate your professionalism, your consistency, and your integrity. You've been like, if you ask a question, you're going to get the straight answer, and it doesn't change because of the circumstances. And so hopefully take that with you to Murray. That'd be great. But we're going to, not that we'll, that's just you. And I appreciate our time together and what you've taught me as well on the Planning Commission and of course here on the council. So
Thanks.
Good luck to you.
Thanks, Clint. Thank you. Thanks very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Yeah, you sure you want to leave now? Okay, well, this pretty much concludes our council meeting for this evening, and being that it's right before the Christmas holiday, and as stated in our prayer as well, we want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and just remember to share the Spirit with all those around you, regardless whether you know them or not. Just pass it along. So thank you very much. Merry Christmas.